My last time babysitting. I checked my watch as I walked up to the door. 10 minutes late. I had been babysitting for them for 6 months. I was sure they wouldn't mind. Mr. Lopez answered the door. "Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I started to say, but stopped when I saw him. His face was soaked with sweat and he looked slightly agitated. No problem at all," he said, ushering me inside. In the kitchen, there was only a single light on above the table. At it, Mrs. Lopez was writing something feverishly on a slip of paper. "I'll be right back. I have to say goodbye to Denise." Denise was their 1-year-old daughter, who I had been watching for them. She disappeared into the darkness of the hallway, heading up the stairs. "So, what movie are you seeing tonight?" I asked, setting my bag down on the table. The pad of paper had holes punctured through it, as if Mrs. Lopez had been pressing the pen down hard. I don't know. I guess we'll decide when we get there." Mr. Lopez was shifting from foot to foot, looking more worried by the minute. I noticed a pretty sizable cut on his right cheek, dribbled with dried blood. "Are you okay, Mr. Lopez?" I asked. But before he could answer, I heard Mrs. Lopez returning from upstairs. We should get going. "Goodbye, Katie," she said, pulling me into a hug. She tightened her grip for a moment, and I could have sworn I heard a soft sob. "Thank you for everything," she said, with great difficulty. She began to say something else, but her husband grabbed her and dragged her out the door. Before he closed it, he gave me a mournful, almost apologetic look. Then he closed it, and I was alone in the dark house. I thought about going out and talking to them more, or maybe even just leaving, but in the end I decided to stay. Not turning on the lights so as to not startle up Denise, I climbed the stairs in the dark and headed into her room. I approached the crib and was about to lift her up when I saw a note laying on top of the blankets. I read it by the streetlight that glared feebly through the window. "Katie, I'm so sorry. He broke in while we were getting ready. He said he was going to kill us, do horrible things to Denise. He asked if anyone knew about us, and we told him about you. It's an exchange. I'm so sorry. I hope that God will forgive me one day." Looking out the window, I saw them pulling out of the driveway. They were crying. Perched in Mrs. Lopez's lap was Denise. Behind me, in the darkness, the door creaked open. Stability by Hyperobscura.
Hello. You must be Kendra.
Yes, Mrs. Michaels. It's so lovely to meet you.
Please have a seat. You come highly recommended, so consider this a formality.
Thank you. I'm very happy to hear that.
Do you mind if I record the interview? I have a terrible memory, you see.
No, not at all, Mrs. Michaels. Go right ahead.
Bless you, child. My Roderick can be a handful, you know, but he's such a sweetheart.
I'm sure he is.
But after everything that happened, he is in dire need of some stability.
Oh, I'm all about stability, Mrs. Michaels. If you don't mind me asking.
Yes? Please, call me Norma.
Yes, of course, Norma. You mentioned that something happened to Roderick. May I ask what?
Oh, all that. Silly old thing, really. He was kidnapped about 2 years ago. Snatched right from daycare, in broad daylight.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That must have been horrible.
It was a challenging time, but we got through it.
Did they catch them? The kidnappers?
They came close a few times, but they kept moving him around. For all I know, they're still out there.
Oh, God, I'm really sorry I brought it up.
Don't worry your pretty little head, dear. I don't think we'll ever hear from them again.
How can you be so sure?
They never got what they wanted, did they? I refused to pay the ransom demand. You cannot reward such atrocious behavior.
Wow, that's a, very interesting approach. How long was he, gone for?
He was restored after 3 months.
3 months? He was with them for 3 whole months? Surely he must have seen something that could point the police in the right direction.
No, that's the first thing they sent.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
The eyes were the first parts of him they sent.
I'm not sure I fully understand. They sent you pieces of Roderick?
Quite. Clearly, after such trauma, you can appreciate the need for stability.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Jesus, how long did it go on for?
What do you mean?
I mean, you know, how many pieces did they send before they let him go?
Oh, I think you're getting the wrong idea. Here, let me show you instead. Roderick? Meet your new nanny, Kendra. Kendra, this is my sweet Roderick. Do you see now? They never stopped sending him to me.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Silly of them, wasn't it? All I had to do was reassemble him. Didn't cost me a dime.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Parts of him keep falling off, though. Stability, Kendra. He needs stability.
Little Miss Know-It-All. by Bocadeloup. Her name was Sarah. Not that anyone called her that, because Sarah knew it all. Sarah was good at maths and English and art and history. Sarah knew that the sun was a star and not a planet. Sarah knew how babies were made. Most of all, Sarah knew what happened when people died, because Sarah, at one point, had died too. Sarah talked about a before and after. A before Sarah. But she did not talk about this much. But Sarah did talk about other things. Sarah talked about hiking in beautiful places, about swimming with colorful fish. Sarah also talked about less interesting topics, like politics. Little Sarah talked like an adult sometimes, but for someone so smart, some teachers did not like her, especially Miss Nellie. Sometimes Miss Nellie would stare at Sarah, and Sarah would stare back. The other children would be much too focused on their books, or too focused on chatting to each other to notice. But there were often moments like those. Moments of tension and an unsettling connection between the two. But what everyone did notice was that Miss Nellie did not like Sarah. Miss Nellie was often cold and rude to little Miss Know-It-All. Tight-lipped, tense, and never offering a smile. Miss Nellie routinely refused to look at little Sarah in the eye, but on the rare times she did, Miss Nellie seemed to look away immediately, with an anguished and fearful look in her aged face, because little Miss Know-It-All knew it all, and Sarah knew Nellie Osborne's secret. Miss Nellie knew about before Sarah. Miss Nellie knew about the broken body her troubled son put in the water. Miss Nellie had helped him bury the body that soon floated atop the calm waters of the lake near the Osbornes' home. She helped bury a woman, but now what returned was a child who on her first day of class with Miss Nellie said to her, "I know what you're hiding at 34 Becker Street and under the shed." Unanswered. I found out what happened when I looked up from a cup of lukewarm coffee to see a familiar building on the screen of the break room television. A news ticker scrolling across the bottom of the broadcast to pump out a bold string of attention-grabbing words with a gruesome sense of urgency. It took only 2 for my stomach to drop, and my heart to pound thickly in my chest, and my head to swim with a sudden dizziness that struck me somewhere between stunned disbelief and indescribable dread. Active shooter. Hey. A voice that sounded a million miles away clamped a hand on my shoulder. "That's not where your wife works, is it?" I wish I could say that the rest was a blur, but I remember it all with tormentous clarity. I remember the sound of my mug shattering on the floor. I remember how I gripped my keys so tightly as I ran through the parking garage that they bit into the flesh of my palm like metal teeth. I remember the angry blaring of car horns and the screeching sound of tires coming to a halt while I surged through traffic with a complete lack of caution. The whole time, I never stopped calling her. I called so many times that each ring felt like a drill making its way through my skull. But she never answered. Not when my shaky hand dialed her number as I stood transfixed before the TV. Not when I tore free from my daze and raced to her office, and not when I pulled up to the wail of police sirens and a red flash of ambulance lights. I saw her co-workers. Some were embracing, bloodstains blotched across their clothes and shock etched into their faces as they wept, while the wounded were bandaged by paramedics or rushed away on stretchers. But I didn't see her. It took 15 years to build our marriage and just one bullet to end it. In the days following her funeral, when the grief became so consuming that not even the sleeping pills helped, I decided to visit a coworker that was still hospitalized. My reasons were selfish. I had done nothing but obsess over what her final moments had been like, and wondered if he could tell me something, anything, that might answer the questions leaving me lying awake at night in a bed that now felt cold and empty. "We were hiding in a closet," he whispered, visibly pained by each word, his body a labyrinth of tubes and gauze. She had a hand clamped over her mouth, and I held my breath, listening to his footsteps going up and down the office. I don't think he knew where we were. Finally, I heard the sound of a doorknob turning from across the room, like he was about to leave, and then... And then what? His answer will haunt me forever. Her phone rang. You know about the tooth fairy, right? Well, I'm the organ fairy, and your bill is due. Don't look so shocked. You signed the paperwork. I got it right here. It says you offered up your liver. Seriously? You traded your liver to attend a Kanye West concert? I could understand maybe giving up a kidney or even a testicle. You got 2 of those. Oh. You wanted front row. Well, to each their own, I guess. For Pete's sake, no, I can't take your soul instead. That's a different department and we don't work with those arrogant pricks. The soul fairies are the worst. They think the non-corporal part of a human is the most important. Try walking around without a heart, or in your case, a liver. You gotta stick with the terms of the original deal. It's right there in the contract. Nobody ever reads the contracts. You have to write your name in blood. You think you could take 5 minutes to review the document. This? It's a scalpel. It's very sharp and it'll cut through your muscles like they're melted butter. Yes, it's gonna hurt. I'm taking your liver. Why do you think I have you tied to the bed? Of course you can't move. Humans are wigglers, especially when you're carving into their flesh and removing organs. Anesthesia? You're kidding, right? I'm not a doctor, I'm an organ fairy. Okay, look. Most people don't know this, but you can include a painkiller clause in your deal. You have to ask for it, though. Not that you'll be making any more deals.
Offering up your liver is a one-way ticket to the beyond. Dude. Dude. I hear this all the time. People always want to make another deal. I can't get you a replacement liver. And I can't let you trade out another organ for the one you originally offered. What am I going to do with money? No, you can't give me your girlfriend. I don't want your dog either. Yeah, well, maybe you should have thought of that before you signed a contract you didn't read. No offense, but I'll have to gag you now. Because you'll scream, and it's distracting. Here, let me stuff this gauze into your mouth. That's better. I gotta get this show on the road. I have a 4:00 appointment with a dentist who traded his heart to cure his daughter of cancer. That's noble. I'll probably give him morphine on the house because he made his deal to save someone else. You, however, are an idiot who gave away his liver to go to a freaking concert. Now hold still. The first cut is the most important.
I Have to Pick by mellowyellowsun. Mommy and Daddy both cry. They say it's okay. They don't mind who I pick. That they understand it's such a difficult choice to make. Daddy says I should go with him. It'll be much easier that way. Mommy talks over him and insists that I should pick her. It's okay if I pick her. Daddy says it'll be less painful for me to go with him. Mommy says that's not true. It should be her. They both say they love me, and it's okay. I can go with whoever I want. It'll all be okay, and they won't love me any less. The scary masked man says he doesn't care who I pick, but I have to choose quickly. He says I have to pick, or he'll shoot both of them. Little Nook Guest House, a cattopotatto company. Hello, and a warm welcome to Little Nook Guest House. We hope you had a pleasant journey and enjoy your visit to our town. We know this accommodation isn't for everyone, so we thank you for choosing to stay with us. The building is steeped in history and has long welcomed guests from far and wide. The area is known for its beauty, and there are plenty of fascinating places to explore. This book contains all the information you will need to make the most of your time here, including information on things to do, places to eat, and how to get around. But first, there are a few important rules to make you aware of. We ask that you pay close attention to these throughout the duration of your stay. 1. For your safety and security, please keep your room locked even when occupied. If you forget to lock the door and hear somebody entering, immediately go to the bathroom and lock yourself in. Use the bathroom phone to call reception. 2. Members of staff will always announce themselves if they have a need to come to your room, either verbally or with a note under the door. Do not, under any circumstances, open the door to any unannounced visitors. 3. If you return to find a small boy in your room, do not be alarmed. Leave the door open and politely but firmly ask him to leave. A simple, "This is not your room, you must be lost. The door is open. Please leave," will work nicely. Please do not show aggression. 4. If you return to find an adult man in your room, immediately leave and report to reception. 5. All of our staff wear the green Little Nook uniform with our leaf and acorn logo. Please do not engage with staff in heritage dress. If you see a maid in traditional uniform, ignore her and continue on. 6. Guests on the second floor. Do not stare at the soldier at the end of the hall. Look at anything else. The floor, your phone, or perhaps some of the beautiful artwork on our walls. 7. If you awake to a black cat sleeping on your bed, do not be alarmed. He is harmless and quite friendly. Some even consider him a good omen. He will disappear at dawn. Thank you for staying at our unique guest house. We wish you a safe and enjoyable visit. Little Nook Management. Last messages. I love you, Mom. I can hear footsteps on the stairs. I think he's outside my room. I hear sirens, but they're far away. I'm hiding in the closet. I hope he didn't hear me. Hang on. I heard something downstairs. The cops are already here looking for him. They'll catch him. Don't worry, Mom. I'm safe. I love you. The cop said he's some escaped serial killer and he's been breaking into homes around the area. Yes, Mom. It's on the news now. I'll keep my doors locked. Messages are displayed in chronological order, with most recent at the top. Yes, Mom. It's on the news now. I'll keep my doors locked. The cop said he's some escaped serial killer and he's been breaking into homes around the area. Don't worry, Mom. I'm safe. I love you. The cops are already here looking for him. They'll catch him. Hang on. I heard something downstairs. I'm hiding in the closet. I hope he didn't hear me. I hear sirens, but they're far away. I can hear footsteps on the stairs. I think he's outside my